What up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY, as always presented by Bet Parks and Central City Toyota. We are live on a Thursday, as we are now just, 72. What time did I play? 79 hours away from the Eagles and the Rams. We will talk about it at length. Glenn Foley, he did pretty well in his appearance last week. We're bringing him back today to look at what he saw last week and what he thinks this week. Coming up, Eagles and Rams. Shout out to everybody that's watching live on YouTube every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. live on YouTube. If you're watching on Xfinity, Roku, Samsung Plus, welcome. Good morning. Great to see everybody. Great to talk to everybody. All right, so I hear a lot of what I believe is unwarranted criticism of Jalen Hurts. And when I say criticism, I think it's okay to criticize or to be honest and say, okay, he's not the greatest passer in the world. He's not going to throw guys open. He's not going to throw to open spots. He's not like I think we know. We talked about this yesterday. I think we know what Jalen Hurts is, which is a very good football player. And we have to stop. And this is something that I know that I was guilty of prior to that 2022 season, of dreaming and longing for a better throwing quarterback, or at least what I perceive to be a better throwing quarterback. The reality is that we just want to win. Right? Eagles fans, we want to win the Super Bowl. We want to win 14 games in the regular season. We want to get to the divisional round at home and win the divisional round and set up for the NFC Championship game, most likely in Detroit. Who knows? Maybe it's in Philadelphia. But isn't that really what it's all about? And I'm not saying in winning in spite of your quarterback. I'm talking about winning because you have a good team and you have a good quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. And Jalen Hurts, you're not winning in spite of him. You're winning in part, probably in large part, because of Jalen Hurts. So I believe this season, a lot of this season, the Eagles were doing what they thought was best and what made them the best version of themselves, which is we don't need to throw the ball 40 times a game, 50 times a game. We can run the ball with Saquon Barkley. Hey, everybody, they signed Saquon Barkley in the offseason. They have what now everybody calls the best offensive line in football, and they have a defense that is stunningly great out of nowhere, the top defense in the league. And yeah, it'd be great if Joe Burrow was here as the quarterback, or this quarterback, or that quarterback. The reality is Joe Burrow didn't make the playoffs because Joe Burrow's defense isn't as good, but hell, his offense is pretty good. Those skill guys are pretty good. So what Jalen Hurts is doing, it's really, we should be applauding him, not criticizing him. We should be celebrating him. Tyler, do we have this? This is Jalen Hurts yesterday. A lot being made about the lack of passing, the lack of the passing game. Again, we did this a couple weeks ago. Here's Jalen Hurts yesterday talking about the whole thing.
I think you guys need to understand that I don't play the game for anything other than to win. And my role in each game will be different, and the approach in each game is different. You just want to go out there and do your job and take advantage of opportunities, obviously. And I think some things are magnified a little bit more because there's less opportunity in certain areas. But ultimately, it's about winning the game.
Right, like in college, it very much is a college mentality. You know the guys that are going to be considered top draft picks in college when they're playing. But then you have other quarterbacks that are, like, maybe he'll be a backup, but he's a good college quarterback, right? Jalen Hurts is a good NFL quarterback. Good college quarterbacks win all the time when they have great or good teams around them. It was never a prerequisite in college to have, oh, he doesn't have enough arm talent. Oh, he's missing too many open receivers. No, managing the game. And that's what Jalen Hurts has done this year. Could he have done more in the passing game if he was more concerned about that kind of stuff? Probably. If he wasn't comfortable throwing the ball 20 times a game, 25 times a game, well, there's an easy fix to that. You go to the coaching staff and you say, hey, I want to throw the ball more. But he hasn't needed to do that. And there's going to come a time, if the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, that Jalen Hurts is going to have to unleash the arm. Bottom line, stop criticizing him, celebrate him. because he deserves it, because he's an excellent football player. And he fits for what this team is, which is balanced. And there's a closeness to this team across both sides, offense, defense, whatever. And there's just a feel for this team right now. Now, with that being said, I was streaming last night on YouTube, and I had mentioned this to my buddy Delco Steve, that you would like to see a little bit more confidence with Jalen Hurts when he's throwing the ball. A little bit more confidence in the pocket. When you go back to 2022, the thing that stood out to me more than anything was, well, like, damn, he was just letting it fly. He would drop back. He wasn't thinking about the throw. Like when a starting pitcher in baseball's, when he's throwing the ball and he's aiming, as opposed to just pitching, where you're letting it fly. You're going to hit your spot because you're feeling good. And I haven't seen that out of Jalen. And I think it was a good example of it is on that A.J. Brown fake tush push. Now, A.J. wasn't as open as a lot of people are maybe making you believe or that they believe. There were two defenders there, and A.J. wasn't that wide open. Now, a perfect throw, and A.J. accelerates and grabs it. Yeah, it's a touchdown. But, like, think about that pass. He is thinking about it. It's not a fake back, boom, let it fly. It kind of gets up in the air too much because he's thinking too much about the throws. You're going to need to see a more a confident Jalen Hurts throwing the ball at some point during this postseason. Because as much as I sit here and say, celebrate him for what he's doing as the Eagles quarterback, and he's not making it about himself, he's making it about the team. Celebrate him for that. I also need to see more confidence because he's not a confident throwing quarterback right now. That Steelers game, after he got criticized, they got him going, and he was confident. But it's not the same passer that we saw back in 2022. And they're going to need him to be at least part. They're going to need for him to be at least part of the postseason to see a little bit more out of that. But celebrate him. Don't criticize him because he's exactly right. Like 1 week, they may need him to throw the ball more. Last week, they didn't need to throw him. And Kellen Moore didn't call got a lot of passes. He was comfortable with punting the ball and on taking a draw play on 3rd and 17 or whatever. It's smart. The Eagles have handled this year. Kellen Moore has managed this situation. Nick Sirianni has managed this situation very, very well this year. They've won 14 games. And this isn't the Minnesota Vikings where they were being picked against. They got smashed by the Rams. They weren't a fraud 14-3. This team is legit. And I'd be shocked if they didn't beat the Rams on Sunday. Tyler Zulli, it's not often that an NFL quarterback doesn't want to throw the ball, or not that he doesn't want to throw the ball, but he's comfortable in whatever is going to have the team win. Very much a college mentality in the pros of, hey, like it's not about me throwing the ball all over the place. Like, let's win. And we can do that with me running the ball, with me handing the ball off. We don't have to throw it 40 times a game. It's refreshing. And I'm glad that he has that type of that lack of ego. Because, I don't think Carson Wentz would have.
Well, and I will say this too. I think that you've said this before, and I agree with you on this point. When the game matters, if they need to push the ball down the field, they have the capability to do it. I think that their scheme, the way that they draw things up, is meant to be methodical. It's meant to punish you. It's meant to capitalize your mistakes. Control the ball and then capitalize on your mistakes. One of the things that I think people bring up a lot, and it's a fair point to an extent, Jalen Hurts holds onto the ball for an extraordinary amount of time at times. In fact, he led the league this year in time in the pocket at 2.7 seconds per attempt in the pocket. Now, you can look at that a couple of different ways. A, he's holding onto the ball too long. B, his offensive line has been really, really good and has given him the capability to hold on to the ball that long. But I will say this. When you think about the numbers of the 2.7 seconds per pocket time, here's some of the other playoff quarterbacks. Sam Darnold was second at 2.6. You just talked about that team. The difference in the offense that's run by Sam Darnold, which was heavy dose of Jordan Addison, heavy dose of Justin Jefferson, and Aaron Jones. But at the end of the day, if you tell me you're tasking me with picking a quarterback to lead a game-winning drive, to lead a drive when it matters, and my choices are Jalen Hurts or Sam Darnold, there's no question who the answer is, right? It's Jalen Hurts. But you can even go a little bit deeper. Lamar Jackson is tied for 5th at 2.5 seconds, as is Bo Nix, as is Justin Herbert, as is CJ Stroud. So just to give you a small sample size, 6 of the 14 playoff quarterbacks are tied for 5th or better in time in the pocket per play. What's that tell you? The way to win football games is to have a good offensive line and protect your quarterback. And so I think that the 2.7 and the holds the ball too long, and sometimes he doesn't throw receivers open, or he wants to put a ball in a perfect spot in a perfect window, is a fair argument to make. But as we talked about yesterday and as we've talked about all season, the thing that Jalen Hurts does that elevates this team, especially in the last, 14 games of the year, whatever he's played sans the first 4 of the season, is he's protected the ball. He's not making mistakes. He's played turnover-free football for a large majority of the back end of the season. And they're winning, maybe not because of Jalen Hurts, but they're winning with Jalen Hurts. And to me, if your defense plays well, your run game is strong, your offensive line is good, the way that Jalen Hurts plays the game right now is a productive, positive way to play the game. So protecting the football is key come playoff time, and what he's done is protect the football.
Yeah, remains to be seen if he continues to play at this game manager level, if that's really a formula you can win in the playoffs. Regular season, you can win a lot of games, but they won their first playoff game by 12 points, where the offense was sluggish as a lot of us thought.
Well, and that's the thing too. You add to that conversation, they won by double digits. Now, I would say the Eagles offense probably played like a C+, B- level game for what we know they're capable of. And they won by 12. And part of the reason is because I think the Eagles defense played an A-level game, and the Packers offense played like a D-level game, right? Because Jordan Love, as we talked about, was bad in this game. I don't expect Matt Stafford to make the similar type of mistakes that Jordan Love made, but I do expect the Eagles defense to play equally well. Maybe not equally well because you lose Nakobe Dean, but on a par level or close to it from what they played last week, that carries over, especially if the weather is supposed to be what it's supposed to be.
Call for snow and stuff.
You're going to need to run the rock. You're going to need to play good defense. And if you're protective of the ball in bad weather, you're the better team in this game. You should win this game.
Yeah, they better win this game. Now I'm seeing that there maybe not as much snow as originally thought, or maybe some rain mixing in that. All right, well, we'll get an update tomorrow. Tyler actually went to school for meteorology, so he'll give his forecast coming up.
John, if I went to school for meteorology, I'd be the worst meteorologist in the history of the world. I was terrible at science.
Me too.
Terrible.
Me too. I don't know how much science is involved.
A ton.
In meteorology?
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Oh, well, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought you read the whatever.
No, you got to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but meteorology on TV, they may be experts in what's happening, but they're out there. They're TV people. I mean, if you want to be a real meteorologist, go work for the National Weather Service and grind in the data.
Well, sure. I mean, there's a difference between working for AccuWeather and working as the front-facing weather person, right? But they still have to do the steps, right?
Yes, they do.
The science portion of it is where you'd lose me.
I can't. They passed me in high school biology just because they were like, get this guy out of here. We can't fail him again. All right, so Tyler, we have a game ball to give away. And Game Ball is proudly brought to you by our friends at Xfinity Mobile. Join the millions who have switched to one of the fastest growing mobile services, Xfinity Mobile. Oh, look at that Game Ball if you're watching on YouTube or TV. Love the Game Ball. You know who I'm giving it to? This is an easy one. Sixers lost last night. They actually got the game to overtime, which was impressive just to get it to overtime. They lost. But how about diehard Eagles fan Karl Anthony Towns of the Knicks? He was injured, did not play last night, but he showed up to the Wells Fargo Center for the Knicks game against the Sixers wearing Eagles gear. He had a nice, I think it was a throwback Kelly Green sweater. And what size do you think that is? He's 7 foot. That's got to be like a 5X. And he was wearing it on the bench. I saw it and I'm like, I love it because it tweaks. How much do New York fans hate us? With Saquon Barkley, and the Eagles are good every year. They suck, right? How much do they hate us? And now they got their players, and all fan bases, I think, hate Eagles fans more than anything. Look at that. That's a nice looking sweater there for Karl Anthony Towns. And then Jalen Brunson's a diehard Eagles fan, and he makes no mistake about it. And then so is Karl Anthony Towns, and he's sitting on the bench swearing it. Do you imagine if that happened in Philadelphia? Someone wearing a Cowboys jersey on the bench. I mean, he's a huge front runner. How about Bryce Harper? Bryce Harper was a Cowboy fan before he moved here, very smartly now, no longer a Cowboy fan.
Well, who is it? It's there is somebody. Tyrese Maxey. He's from Texas. I think he is a Cowboys fan. I'm pretty sure.
All right, so if Maxey wore a Cowboys jersey, let's say the Eagles weren't in it, but the Cowboys were in the divisional round.
Oh, he'd get booed.
Oh, he'd be so mad.
He'd get booed.
We'd be so mad.
And I think it would be like half-hearted jeers more than boos because, Tyrese Maxey's a star and we love the kid. But if he were to come out and wear a Dak Prescott jersey on the bench, people would be frustrated.
Well, it wouldn't be the people at the game. It'd be people listen to WIP and the Fanatic, and a lot like Joe DeCamera would probably would want him out of town and would be very upset. Right? I friggin' love it. And I don't know if I would like it if Tyrese Maxey was wearing a Cowboys jersey or whatever on the bench. It would I'd probably be irritated about it. But I love it with Karl Anthony Towns doing it. It's awesome. But AI used to wear Yankee stuff. He used to wear Cowboy stuff. He's a huge front runner. So Karl Anthony Towns, thank you for being an Eagle fan and just like grinding salt in the wounds to all the New Yorkers out there. Absolutely love it. Quickly on this, we'll get to G Foles in a little bit. The Eagles fan that was fired for his job and banned from the Eagles games put out a statement. His name's Ryan Caldwell. Says the following. He told this in the New York Post. The video circulating online, quote, does not reflect the full context of what transpired, and my actions were not without provocation. It goes on to say, while attending an NFL game last Sunday to support my beloved Philadelphia Eagles, an incident occurred that I deeply regret. What began as banter with two Packers fans sitting near me escalated to something more serious, and I said things that were unacceptable. In the heat of the moment, I chose unforgiving words to address one of the fans, Ms. Allie Keller. I want to sincerely apologize to Ms. Keller for those words, and to my wife, family, and friends, my former employer, and colleagues, Packers fans, Eagles fans, the Philadelphia Eagles, city of Philadelphia, and all who were offended. That said, there are two sides to every story. The video circulating online does not reflect the full context of what transpired, and my actions were not without provocation. I will live with this experience, and I am certainly paying a personal price. For those who don't know me, this incident does not reflect my values or the respect I have for others, and is not indicative of the person I am. So I'll just leave it at this, because we've discussed this a lot over the last couple of days. Right there with him saying that, this loser Packer fan needs to release everything now. Don't we agree? Pressure should be put on him. And by the way, he hasn't been back up for air in a number of days. He hasn't tweeted in like 3 days. So he can't be found. I had somebody reach out to me and said that he might be like being consulted by a lawyer right now to not don't say anything right now, like a crisis lawyer right now. If there's more and there's added context to this, by the way, there's nothing that you could say to me that would make me talk like that to a woman anywhere, right? And like calling her ugly and all these other things. But the context would at least put in the light, like, oh, all right, so this happened or that happened. So here's what this loser Packer YouTube blogger, vlogger fan should do. He should release all of it. Because this guy's life, I'm not going to say he's ruined, because he can rebound from it, hopefully, right? But he lost his job. This has become a national story. Everybody has his face is out there. This guy's anytime he tries to get a job or anything, when he's Googled, people are going to be like, oh my God. Right? This is a huge deal. So release all the footage, Tyler Zulli. It's the only fair thing to do, is to release all the footage. You want to cherry pick and put 44 seconds out there of something that makes him look like a total animal. Okay, he looks like a total animal. Let's see the whole context of everything that happened. That's all I got to say about it. And my buddy Delco Steve, his girlfriend has season tickets in the same section where this happened, 3 rows behind the incident. They didn't know anything happened, but the guy did walk up the steps with the GoPro and let everybody know that he was recording and was trying to rile up the fans by standing there and like showing the camera and stuff. And they, people were at him. So he went into there. I don't know if he was trying to get that, but he went knowing that he was there searching for stuff, searching for content. And he got it. Release it. Release the documents. Like the JFK papers. Release the documents, damn it. All right, coming up. G. Foles, Glenn Foley, joins us. His thoughts on the game last week. What he thinks about the Rams game coming up. And I wouldn't be surprised if G. Foles was at an Eagles game and saw stuff like this happen before. We'll get his thoughts on all of that. Glenn Foley coming up. Philly with me, John Marks. Right after we talk about glatt hair restoration. Actually, I'm trying to stop over and see my girls, Cheryl and Lisa, and the entire hair team over there at Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical. Just like to check in and be like, how we doing? How many viewers, how many listeners are coming in? What are people saying? Right? Like, what's the latest stuff going on? Because it seems like every couple months, there's something new. There's like a new science that's out there. Happens quick. It does. And that's why Glatt Hair Restoration is the best in the business. Because they're ahead of the curve. They're ahead of science. Right? So anything that happens, bam, they're right on it. And that's why during your stages of hair loss, I had a hair restoration procedure. Maybe you're just starting to go bald, or you're thinning and you're like, hey, this ain't good. Well, laser light therapy, vitamin supplementation, which is very popular and effective these days, PRP and stem cell, hair restoration. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation, because you're not going to call them at 610-980-4000 and they're going to try to upsell you and they want you to get hair restoration and that's it. No, they are an advocate for you. So it is literally what they're in business for, is be like, all right, what should we do? They've told many people, we don't think you should get hair restoration just yet. 5 years from now, if you lose more hair, maybe it makes sense, but let's try this or let's try that. So caring patient advocates working for you for the first time you call them to the last follow-up visit. Email me. Send me a DM. I've had a ton of people over the last couple of weeks reach out to me at John, Jon Marks, Marks Media, at John Marks Media. And questions. I can send you pictures of everything. I can answer any questions that you have. And if you want to see more before and after pictures and a lot of great information, it's glatthairmctr.com. That's GLAT hairmctr.com. Or operators are standing by at 610-980-4000. The hair team. It's not some outsourced call center. You can speak to the hair team right now. 610-980-4000. Glatt Hair Restoration. All right, Central City Toyota. Uncle Jamie down there on a Friday, a chilly Friday morning, getting ready for a long, busy day at Central City Toyota, because they have the top parts and service department in the entire city of Philadelphia. And, man, they handle a lot of volume. They do. It's where I get my oil change. It's where I got new tires a couple months ago. It's where I take my wife's Sienna. It's where I buy all my cars. I've been a customer for almost 20 years. And, so he's down there. Ton of inventory right now. So they have a sister dealership in Ardmore, ardmoretoyota.com. You can see the entire selection between both dealerships at centralcitytoyota.com. And if you work in Center City and you're like, hey, you know what? I'd love to get the car service. Check it out. Instead of going to wherever on a Saturday and sitting there and drink bad coffee, you can drop the car off. And, they will pick your car up. Yes, you can drop the car off and take the shuttle into work, but by an appointment basis only at centralcitytoyota.com, they'll come and pick your car up, service it, drop it back off. That's it. Right? centralcitytoyota.com to make your appointment. And when you walk in Central City Toyota in the heart of University City, 55 years on Chestnut Street, just bust in the door and say, where's Uncle Jamie? I need my college football lock for Monday night. He'll join us. On Monday, he's going to join us with his lock for the national championship game. 7-1, by the way, in his college football playoff picks. CentralCityToyota.com. There we go. Hoo-ah. Birds and Rams. It's finally it feels like that now we're kind of like rolling up our sleeves. And I was working afternoons. I'd probably be doing a lot more game stuff. But it started. Now you're starting to look ahead to the game. to preview and to discuss all the very serious football topics, because that's what this gentleman is. Longtime NFL quarterback, the pride of Cherry Hill East, the savior at Boston College. Mr. Glenn Foley joins us this morning. G. Foles, what's up, dude?
Bucky's. Drinking out of a Bucky's cup. Great week. Great game by the Eagles. They held the ball. They controlled the ball. They held the ball, and A.J. Brown was reading books, which when that happens, that means the Eagles will win. They win, and they win big. If I'm A.J. Brown, I go and cut a contract with one of these new release books and just read that. He'll be reading that in the fourth quarter again. But the Eagles ran the ball. They controlled the ball, and that's their MO. If they do that, they win. They did that, and A.J.'s reading. But huge win. Great win.
I don't think you can do that in every game, but it seems that G. Foles, the Eagles have done a really good job of reading their team and knowing what they need to do to put themselves in a position to win the game. Jalen came out. A lot of people expected the offense to look a little bit rusty and sluggish, and really outside of the touchdown off of the fumbled kickoff, where they looked great in that short span, they did look sluggish. And you know what else they did? They called the game. Our defense can win this game. They're not going to put up enough points against us. We'll be fine. Don't turn the ball over. A couple of those third and longs where I saw a lot of people calling them cowards for running draw plays on that. Why take the chance of dropping back, throwing an interception, getting sacked, fumbling the ball away? They played the game very smart. I don't know if you can be that conservative against the Rams. You certainly won't be able to do that against the Lions, but they played to win the game on Sunday, and they did, and they won by double digits. And I agree with you. I thought it was a very impressive win.
Great win. And as the head coach, people want to point their finger at Sirianni for this, that, the other thing. As a coach, you get a feel for the game. And as you go along, as this game went along, Love's got to beat us. There's no way Love's going to beat us. Love's got to beat us. And until he shows that he can beat us, we're going to run the ball. We're going to control the clock. I was just going over some stats, and if you look at all the teams that are in the playoffs, ball control, time of possession is what wins football games. This is old school. This is Parcells. This is Tom Coughlin. This is Bill Belichick. All they care about is the clock. Control the clock, and then get a feel for the game. Every game's a fingerprint. You want to say, we're going to run the ball 20 times. They may not be able to run the ball 10 times next game. But once the coach gets the feel for the game, which he got early, and Packers weren't going to score. I think I called 34-10. If Saquon doesn't sit down, we're looking at a 30-10 game. So, and that's Sirianni. Now, again, if they turn the ball over and then Hurts has to throw it, we're talking about all kinds of different stats, times of possession, and now it's a flip coin of a game.
Before we talk about the Rams, you mentioned A.J. Brown. It was one of the it was pretty funny. And if the Eagles are losing the game, no one's going to be laughing at A.J. Brown reading a book on the sideline. So Glenn, you were the starting quarterback for the Jets with Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Corbett as wide receivers. And remember, Keyshawn came out, was it as a rookie or after his rookie season with the just throw me the damn ball? He came out with a book that was throw me the damn ball.
Before the game. I mean, before the season. Before his first season.
It was before he played.
Yes, and Corbett and Keyshawn hated each other. And I was the captain. I was elected captain by the guys, by the team. Parcells, when he did it, he did an unannounced election where he would say he didn't want anybody, going up, posting for election, trying to buy people's votes. So he put they elected me captain, and I had to deal with all that stuff. I had to deal with Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn, one day I came down to the locker room. Keyshawn was having a fit, and all the wide receivers were around him trying to comfort him. And I walked down the corner, and he pointed at me, and he goes, "Because our quarterback stink." And so I looked at him. I looked at all the other receivers. I analyzed the situation. I nodded my head. I turned around and walked out of the room.
Right. Yeah.
So, and he's the one. When you're dealing with the first, part of becoming the captain is getting along with everybody in the room. And arguably, I think I was the minority elected captain. As a white man, you're a minority in a lot of locker rooms. So I was elected. You have to get along with everybody. There's a sociological aspect of the locker room that you have to get along with everybody. So I did. I was the captain. And yeah, I had to put up with all that stuff. Now, if I'm AJ, I'm telling him right now, I'm saying, bro, Find out which is a bestseller on the rise. Go call those people and tell, because the book he was reading went to #1, I believe.
Well,
The first book.
Glenn, it went up 532 million%. I'm not making that figure up either.
Well, it's a business, okay? Now, if it's my business, I want 20% of that. So I'm going to call the next guy I'm reading, and I'm going to get a piece of that reading because I'm not doing anything on the field. At least I'm going to make money on the book. So that's how I would do it. But if AJ is reading, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. It stinks for him. A lot of receivers. The receivers are the biggest Cinderellas on the team. They're the biggest pansies on the team in terms of, I got to get my stats. I got to get this. I got to get that. Well, if you go by wins and losses, everybody should be doing, jumping jacks in the locker room. But you have the powder, but you have to deal with them. So I would say, hey, listen, you can make money. Go find a book and make some money off the book because you're not going to be getting the ball much until they stack the box, which they're gonna. I told you last week. I think my thing was Sam Darnold's a turd, and he turded out this week. So now you're going to get. This is actually a tougher game. This is a tough game coming up. I actually hate this game if I'm the Eagles because you got Stafford coming to town.
Yeah. All right. And this is our in the locker room report. And this man has seen a lot of locker rooms in his day. His name is Glenn Foley. And it's sponsored by Valley Forge Tourism. Winter weekend getaways and family friend affordability await in Valley Forge in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. They have so much to offer. Must-see historical sites, tons of family attractions, a vibrant art scene, outdoor activities, shopping, and more. And just 18 miles from downtown Philly. ValleyForge.org can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, and tons of places to stay in Montgomery County. Get started planning that next getaway today. ValleyForge.com. Make it family time and make it Montco. There you go. All right. G. Foles.
Yep.
Rams. Now,
yes,
they played earlier in the season in Los Angeles. How much does it, when you're playing a team for the second time in a season, now you play them in the playoffs, does the first game mean anything? Does it give more of an advantage to the team that lost, or is this just a playoff game and it's not really anything different?
No, it's an advantage for both teams. This will come down to which coach can outcoach the other guy. The Eagles have a huge advantage, obviously, being at home. Josh Stafford here is the X factor, and McVay. So he's in my opinion, he's the best coach in the league right now. So he's an offensive wizard. So the defense, as good as they've been all year in Philadelphia, they're dealing with, number one, a Super Bowl quarterback that can still play. This isn't Aaron Rodgers back there. This guy can still really play. And he's as good a pure throwing quarterback as there is. So you're going to see tons of motions. They can run the football. And if you look what they did last week, tight end city. They're going to come at you with 2, 3, 4 tight ends. The tight ends are going to hit you. So you better be prepared to load up on tight ends. And, oh, by the way, you're going to have to stop the run. And then when you're in those heavy packages with the Rams, Cooper Kupp's still in there, and so is Puka Nacua. So all the while you're trying to stop that run, well, here comes the play action. So the defense is not going to be as effective this week. I see this is going to be a close game. I don't see a blowout in any way, shape, or form because the defense is going to be on the field longer. So I'm seeing some trouble this week, possibly a field goal game, possibly even an overtime game.
Ooh, overtime. So is this a game where the offense, like last week was, defense kind of carried them. They did what they needed. The offense did what they needed to do, but the defense, 4 turnovers and whatever else. Is this more of a game where Jalen Hurts needs to step up and it's going to be tough to hold the Rams under 20 points? Is this an offensive game for the Eagles?
This is going to be a throwing game. I think McVay is one of the smartest coaches in all of football. So he's going to make them throw the football. And he's going to score points because he's going to find little intricacies in the defense and exploit them. It's going to be hard to run the ball against the Eagles. They're too good up front. But the play action, the 2, 3 tight ends, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, these guys are experienced. These guys are Pro Bowlers, perennial. So this is going to be a totally different game. And when it comes down to it, if it's a close game, now you're looking at Stafford versus Jordan Love, and it's not even close. I mean, I'm Love's still not out of the bust category for me, and Stafford's a cagey, proven veteran.
Yeah, it's I watched the Rams. Puka Nacua, who is a great blocker. The dude doesn't go down. He carried a pile of in the playoff. He carried a pile of Vikings, 7-8 yards to get a first down. And he's edge to him too, which I love. So you have a team that's coming in here, and it's important because you don't want to walk in here like Sam Darnold. He looked like a ghost. He was seeing ghosts against the Lions. The moment was too big. The moment's not going to be too big for this Rams team. They have guys that are not going to be afraid to come in here.
No, and they're going to come after you aggressively on offense. The defense has to be ready now. Great defense Philly has, but they're going to be tested. They're going to be absolutely tested, and where they're weak is where this team's going to attack. I mean, how good have the Eagles been all year against 3 tight ends? And they're moving. And Nakua, by the way, like you said, Marks, he's a blocker, but he can also Cooper and Cup can both hit the power sweep, the speed sweep. And so these guys are very dynamic on offense, hard to stop, and they also are in the top 10 in ball control. So they want to run the ball. Kyron Williams is an unbelievable running back, and they use him. Even if it's 3-4 a crack, they're going to hold the ball. They're not going to let the Eagles control the ball, and we're going to see what's happening. I think this is a field goal game. I really do, Marksy.
Are we looking at the Eagles-Lions in the NFC Championship game? And then what do you think about the other games? Everybody pretty much assumes that the Chiefs are going to win. Ravens are favored up in Buffalo, G. Foles.
Tough one. That's a tough game. That's another field goal game. I mean, I love Lamar and the Ravens, but they didn't take care of business during the regular season. I mean, but they lose 5 games, so that's a tough game. It's going to be 3 degrees up there. Not that it's going to affect Baltimore that much, but that game to me reeks of Josh Allen carrying the team. But the Ravens will hold the football. They'll hold the ball. They'll run it. They'll grind you out. And if it's cold, it's harder to throw the ball. So that's going to be a war. That's a heavyweight fight up there. That's a heavyweight fight.
One last one we were talking about Keyshawn before and being the quarterback in a locker room where you have a diva receiver. It was well known back then, and you can tell me if this is true, that Keyshawn was kind of jealous of Wayne Chrebet, who was the other wide receiver on the Jets, because Wayne was the undersized guy that went to Hofstra and was gritty. He's like TJ McConnell of the 76ers. The fans loved him. And Keyshawn probably felt unappreciated by the fan. Regardless, what was that like? Was that real in there, the Keyshawn and Chrebet stuff?
Oh yeah, they squared off. As big as Keyshawn was, Keyshawn was a huge receiver, but Chrebet, man, he was like a Tasmanian devil. He went right up to him. Chrebet went right up to Keyshawn after the book and goes, "If you got a problem, let's go. Let's go." So there was problems, but they were professional in the locker room. They did everything professional. But I'll tell you what, when they were together on the field, they both blocked. They were both complete animals. We had Curtis Martin in the backfield. We had Kevin Mawai at center. Jumbo at left tackle. We were loaded. We went to the NFC Championship the year I was the captain. Vinny took over because I got my neck, arm, ribs, knee broke. But that team, we lost to John Elway. And
in Denver.
In Denver, we should have won. Not should have won, but we were up 10-0, and then Terrell Davis went nuts. But but Keyshawn and Wayne got along great on the field because together and where they were great together. Forget about the slot receiver. Lad McConkey looks like a stick man compared to Wayne Chrebet. But Chrebet and Keyshawn in the running game were unbelievable. I mean, we would rewind Chrebet laying out a linebacker, and then Keyshawn killing another guy in a running play. So on the field, it was unbelievable to watch. So yeah, we were lucky. We had other guys running around, and we had Hall of Famers, Hall of Fame coaches, Parcells, Belichick, Charlie Weiss. It was crazy.
I was looking at the roster. I actually was last week. Curtis Martin, one of the more underrated players of that era. He was so good. Keyshawn and Chrebet, that year you're talking about, that you played in 5 games, you went to the AFC Championship game. They both had over 1,000 yards. Dude, that didn't happen a lot in 2008.
No,
or in 1998. I mean, that's tremendous. Keith Byers was on that team. Dave Meggett was on that team. Richie Anderson, who was I was always a Richie Anderson fan. He was a Penn State.
Yep.
Yeah, you had a ton of talent on that team. Aaron Glenn was on that team, so you had future head coaches on that team too.
Aaron Glenn, he should get the job. He's favored to get that job, and then I'll be the OC up there running the score up on the Eagles in the next couple of years. My boy, Aaron Glenn. They're gonna call us Glenn and Glenn.
Well, all right. Well, good luck. Let me know if you need any help with that, G. Foles. We'll talk next week, man.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right, there he is, Glenn Foley.
Later.
Yep. He had Keyshawn Johnson look over. He was carrying on in the locker room. He had Keyshawn Johnson look over at him and say, "It's because our quarterbacks suck," and point at him. It's so awesome. All right, Tyler's got the headlines coming up. And we'll finish up with everything that we're talking about here. That's next, Philly with John Mark. So we were talking about Valley Forge, right? And Monco. And I'm from Monco. And I love Monco. And I live in Monco. But listen, Valley Forge is amazing. And this is a great time of year to do it. It's going to start to get a little warmer. But it's very much in winter right now. So why not a winter weekend getaway and family-friendly affordability that awaits you in Valley Forge and Montgomery County, Pennsylvania? They have so much to offer. Historical sites, tons of family attractions, a vibrant art scene, outdoor activities, shopping, dining, and more. And just 18 miles from downtown Philadelphia. So if you're in Jersey, think about it. You'd be there in like 40 minutes from the city, even less. And if you got kids, maybe you just want to do something different with your girlfriend or your wife. Like, what can we do? We're kind of cooped up. Check it out. Valley Forge and Monco. Go to valleyforge.org. It can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, and tons of places to stay in Monco. Get started planning that next getaway today. Valleyforge.com. Valleyforge.org. Make it family time and make it Monco. There we go. All right. Bet Parks, what do we got? Pro football playoffs continue this weekend. All right, Detroit. They had the bye, 9.5-point home favorites. Hosting Washington. Over under 55.5. Sunday, Birds, 6-point home favorites. That line is holding steady. Over under 44. The Ravens-Bills line is also Baltimore still point favorites. And then the Chiefs, I think they're 8.5 or 9.5. I think it's 8.5 because Detroit was 9.5. So Kansas City's big favorites right there. Also, how about the College Football Championship? Notre Dame. I guess I should say Notre Dame. Ohio State, that's Monday. Ohio State, a 9.5-point favorite. So whether your team scores or not, there's always another way to win. On the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app, the only app I would ever use. I would never even think about using anything else. You can also play your favorite casino games for real money with a live dealer right there on the app. Blackjack, craps, poker, roulette, hot online slots. I know Tyler loves the slots while you're watching the game. All right, download the app right now. Enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino right at your fingertips. New users who download the app get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Your casino bonus must be wagered. BetParks.com for details. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, or Maryland for the BetParks app. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. There we go. So you can do it on your way to Valley Forge. You can be on the BetParks app at Valley Forge while you're looking at George Washington's winter home from 1776. There you go.
Just as the founding fathers intended, right?
Yes. He was probably laying in a 4-foot bed with his legs extended over, wooden bed, thinking, man, when are they coming out with that new BetParks app? I can't wait to wager on what we're going to do against the British.
I was watching, you know Nate Bargatze, right? The comedian. You've heard the name before?
No.
All right, so he's blown up in the last couple of years, and he did an SNL skit where he plays George Washington, but that's not the point. He was doing a skit a while ago before he was famous, where he was like, if I had a time machine, you know how people always say if I had a time machine, I'd go back and I would change this or change that or whatever. He goes, I'd be useless. He goes, because I would go to somebody, let's say in colonial times. He goes, I would go to somebody and go, one day you are going to have a phone that works in your pocket and you're not even going to have to worry about, you get all the information that you need, right? And they go, that's great. How does it work? And he goes, I don't know. And like, you know what I mean? Like all of the technological advancements. I think he even was like, yeah, you could even go to the, I don't know, when was the phone invented, right? He goes, you go to the big with the piece of the ear and you talk into the, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, a landline phone you're talking about. Yes.
Well, no, even but like the original landline phone where you hold the piece up to your ear.
And the mouthpiece is on the
and he's like, I don't know how to explain a cell phone to somebody. He goes, I don't know, satellites?
Well, you say like, well, it's a computer in your pocket. What's a computer?
I don't know.
Exactly. How do you explain it?
Well, you use satellites, and what's a satellite? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Well, it's like when Marty McFly told Dr. Emmett Brown in Back to the Future that Ronald Reagan was the president. And he said, the actor?
Right.
Who's the vice president? Jerry Lee Lewis? Right? Like in 1955, you probably thought it was crazy that Ronald Reagan would have been president. But there you go. All right. Well, let's get to, because the 76ers did play last night and some other stuff going on here. Let's get the headlines with Tyler Zulli. Tyler, what do you got?
Yeah, let's do it. Our headlines are brought to us by our friends at Glad Hair Restoration, because if you want to improve how you look and how you feel, head on over to gladhairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. We will start with the Sixers. They fall in OT yesterday to the New York Knicks, 125-119. Tyrese Maxey had 33 in this one. He played 46 minutes in this game. Kelly Oubre played 45. Paul George, 43. You brought up yesterday, you figure everybody's probably going to be healthy for tomorrow's game or last night's game. And most of them were, right? Paul George back, Tyrese Maxey back. Justin Edwards played another 35 minutes yesterday. Seems like they're leaning on the young kid a little bit with
some threes
a lot of guys out. But Maxey 33, Paul George 26. For the Knicks, Jalen Brunson led the way for all scorers, in fact, with 38.
So it was a nice comeback. They surged in the third quarter and tied the game, and then it went into overtime. The Knicks won. But so Paul George, I saw somebody tweet the stat, so I don't like to assume that it's correct. But he scored 3 points in the fourth quarter in overtime. Because if you look at you look at the overall line of the game, right? Like you had said, Paul George had 26. He shot 9 of 20, which isn't terrible. He was a +4. Like, that's a good night. Scored 3 points in the fourth quarter in overtime. Tyrese Maxey had 33 points, took 32 shots. We're Allen Iverson type volume scorer here with Tyrese Maxey because, frankly, they need him to shoot the ball 32 times a game. He's not a classic assist guy. So he's not somebody that's setting up everybody else and he's going to get his shots. No, that's kind of his game. Oubre was pretty good last night as well. But, yeah, they're the Knicks are a really good team.
Yeah, Josh Hart triple-double yesterday. 10 points, 12 assists, 17 rebounds for Josh Hart.
And you know what that is? Effort. Plain and simple. That is, I'm going to, if you think about it, if you put max effort into getting rebounds, and you're big enough, I don't think you could be 6'1" and do it. You could get close to 10 rebounds a game if you're just aggressively going after the boards. I was saying this when I was streaming last night, and I'm not even afraid to say it anymore. I mean, the 76ers, the team's just so painful to deal with. You bring up everything.
You bring up rebounds. They don't rebound well. And I was like, you know what? They're a pretty bad rebounding team. They're probably towards the bottom. No, John, this season they are the bottom. They average 47.9 rebounds per game, which is dead last. It's a tenth of a rebound per game behind Brooklyn. Only 4 teams in the NBA average less than 50 boards per game, and the Sixers are one of them.
Nice. Well, that's great.
4 straight losses for the Sixers now. They'll be back at it on Saturday as they have a kind of a weird road trip coming up. They'll go to Indiana, Milwaukee, and then Denver to take on the Nuggets. Then they'll be home for 1 game, and then they have a back-to-back, and they hit the road to go play in Chicago. Very strange setup. You would think maybe they'd flip those 2 games, but I guess something to do with scheduling. But then after that, the Sixers will have a 6-game homestand in the end of January, the beginning of February.
Oh, okay. Maybe Embiid will be back for the 6-game homestand, and he can play 3 or 4 of those
By
games.
the way, with these teams, but now, granted, the Eagles are in the divisional round. We expect them to win and go to the NFC Championship game. But with the Sixers specifically, Barbara Carroll brings up a good point. Is it pitchers and catchers yet? Is it spring training yet?
I saw probably the same thing you saw yesterday, or a lot of people saw yesterday. It's like, yeah, it comes quick, man.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah, we're almost like, once the holidays happen, then you're in January, and from Thanksgiving to Christmas, everything goes by very quickly. And then all of a sudden, once you get through the first 2/3 of January, it's like pitchers and catchers will be there in a couple weeks.
January is such a drag, right? Cold weather, the sun goes down at 4:30 in the afternoon. January becomes such a drag after the holidays that you start to turn the corner a little bit when pitchers and catchers report. Weather starts to get a little bit nicer. So we're getting there, John. We're getting there.
It's almost there. It's almost there.
Tonight, Flyers back at it. They'll be on the island, take on the Islanders at 7:30. Flyers have kind of been a win-loss type of deal. They had a 2-game win streak snapped on Tuesday, as we talked about, against the Blue Jackets. Take on the Islanders. It'll be 2 of their next 2 in a row, but 7 of their next 8 will come against divisional opponents. 3 against the Devils, 3 against the Islanders, 2 against the Devils, 1 against the Rangers, with the Red Wings game mixed in.
All right, should be interesting. Anything else?
Yeah, the strange saga of Deontay Johnson continues. We talked about it yesterday where he was getting waived by the Houston Texans. Well, he got claimed by the Baltimore Ravens, the team that released him a couple of weeks ago. Now, the reason behind it is not because they think that Deontay Johnson's going to help. He actually can't officially be on the roster till after the Super Bowl on February 10th. But he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So the hope is that if he signs enough of a sample size of a contract, a large enough contract, that the Ravens will actually end up getting a compensatory pick in the 2026 draft for him to technically be on the roster. So I guess it's kind of a workaround in hopes that he does get a good contract. John, I'm not sure he does.
Oh, yeah,
after all of this.
Teams are going to be backing up the Brinks truck
But
for him. This is so stupid.
This feels to me like the Ravens are kind of clamoring for a 7th-round pick. That's what they're trying to get out of this.
I mean, fine. I don't know. Do they have to pay him a playoff? Because the playoff checks aren't. It's not their regular. The regular season salary is over with. Now they're just getting game checks in the playoffs, which is, I'm sure we would like to get those game checks.
Sure.
But is it worth? I don't know. Maybe he would make an extra $300,000 or $400,000 if they were to win the Super Bowl because of the game checks or whatever.
The thing is he's not officially on the roster until the 10th, and the Super Bowl is on the 9th.
So is he not being paid by the Ravens, and that's why they put the waiver claim in?
That I'm not entirely sure how it works.
Because if he's a member of the team, he's a member of the team. He can't actually play.
Correct.
So I think he's on the team, which means he's getting paid. Regardless, I just think it's stupid because he's not getting a big contract from anybody. I don't even know if maybe there's a team out there that says, hey, let's bring him in just to see. But everybody that's brought him in has quickly gotten rid of him.
No, I think he's getting, if he gets, and I do think he will get signed because he is a talented player. He's getting a 1-year deal.
It ain't for any guaranteed money
it's
or
gonna be
big money or whatever.
$1 million and a half. Like he's not signing a large contract.
No,
it's a weird saga that's going on, but that's kind of what we got for our headlines today, John.
All right, there you go. I've heard Anthony arriving. He's been, he's excited for today's show. I think, so I can hear him in the background.
Yeah, I think he's out there cutting WWE promos right now.
He does.
Taking cues from Bill Matz.
Oh man, Bill Matz could definitely be a.
So we did the Steve Jaco and I did the Flyers postgame show on Saturday because they had the event down at the center with the suite takeover.
Right.
And Bill called in and Bill texted me before. He goes, "Hey, I can't hear you. We're not going to have a conversation. I'm just coming on and riffing." And I'm like, "Great, that sounds good." So Bill comes on and cuts this like WWE style promo with his championship Flyers belt that he got for Christmas, and he's like, "This is a great game, great win. The atmosphere was electric." And he did this spiel for like 60 seconds. He's like, "I'll see you later. Goodbye." And then he was done. It was incredible. It was the best.
Needed Mean Gene there to give him the microphone. Yeah, he would be a good. See, I see him more as like a manager that also wrestles. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
we'll like some angle where he'll end up being in the ring at some point. All right. I went to. As I was talking about on yesterday's show, I went to Orange Theory yesterday for my first workout, and it was good. It was intense. It was grueling. I was cooked afterwards, and I did sign up, so I am now a member of Orange Theory. But yeah, so like it's all about the soreness the following day. Right. And because I wasn't doing a ton of lower body work, it's kind of an all around. You get a little lower, a little upper, and you're doing like a ton of high intensity intervals and things like that. Because the last time I actually did I did the YMCA when I was a member at the Y. They have this class called Body Pump.
Okay.
And it's an hour long class that is challenging. And you're using weights the entire time, but you're doing like 50% of it is you're doing lower body. So you're doing a lot of squats, you're doing a lot of lunges, you're doing a lot of this, a lot of that. And bro, I couldn't sit down in a chair. Like if I would have had to sit down in a chair after doing like my first couple of these workouts, I'd be like, oh.
Well, yeah, so it's funny.
Collapsing into the chair.
As you can tell by my incredible physique, I'm at the gym all the time, right? So when I am at the gym, most of the time I lift. And now I'm not squatting 600 pounds, right? I'm lifting to maintain, health, right? Because
leg day. So like with me, I don't look forward to leg day if there isn't even if there is a leg day.
So, but what I'm like, so when I go to the gym, you're doing your compound lifts, your benching, your squats, your blah, 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 whatnot. When you work those like small fiber, small twitch muscles, the ones that you're not used to working, that's when you start like getting into, dude, I can't sit down. So it's like, I always look at it. The first time I go out and I golf for the season, your obliques are sore, right? Because you're doing all this. It's all this twisting motion that you're not used to doing if you're benching or you're doing curls or whatever. Like, you're not in that unique twisting motion. And you wake up the next day, you're like, I feel like I got punched in the ribs.
Yeah.
And so when you use those like weird small fiber, small twitch muscles, all of a sudden that's where you're like,
that you never use otherwise.
I can't sit down.
Yeah, like I know you're a big bowler. So when you bowl, you're
I bowl all the time.
You don't get sore like when I go bowling. I'm like, wow.
Speaking of, my dad actually is a really, really above average to good bowler, and he's in the lead, the Friday night leagues and whatnot.
He still is?
Oh yeah, at 62 years old, he still plays every Friday. He's excellent. He's really, really good. And that's one of his workouts for the week is he goes and bowls.
What's the highest? Do you know his high score?
I know he's broken into the 200s before.
All right.
I don't know what his career high is because he used to play like competitively when he was high school and college level, but I don't know what his career high is. But yeah, I know he's been into the 200s before.
I used to have on Marks and Reese show. It was he was a professional bowler. I think it's Bill O'Neill.
Yes. Not the who do you think you are? I am guy, right?
No. It's one of the great videos ever. No, Bill O'Neill's from Langhorne. He's a professional bowler. Yes, it is Bill O'Neill. And like he's legit, like he's in the US Open or whatever the big tournaments are. And he called it and he said because Ike was disrespecting bowling and wasn't giving bowlers credit and was saying like it's like, I don't know if it's a skill or a sport when you do all those things. Like, I think, like, is golf more of a skill than a sport? Like, darts is a skill. Is it a sport? Well, darts people are trying to tell you it's a sport. I don't know.
By the way,
it's not basketball.
263 is the career high.
263?
263, yep. He's very good. I'm not messing around with you.
Well, I mean, like, when you said he broke into the 200s, I'm like, all right, well, that's good. But 263 is...
Yeah, 260. He's very, very good.
Wow. But you didn't follow in his footsteps. You weren't like Tiger Woods' son, Charlie.
No. But it's like I enjoy playing, and I play decently well. Like, I have enough athletic ability to, like, play, but I'm not good.
You know, the problem with bowling is it takes a lot of concentration. It's kind of like darts when I would go out. When you have the perfect buzz, darts, beer pong, things like that. When you have the perfect slight buzz, you're like, you're like in a zone. Boom. Or the minute you go over that threshold and you start to get a little bit drunk.
Cornhole. That's the game.
Is that what it is for you?
Well, no, just saying. Like, that's the game where, like, you get into that zone a little bit.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's the zone game for you. And bowling's that for me.
Okay.
When I'm feeling good and I'm like into it, I'm like, get a couple strikes. But then I get to a point where I want to do the I don't want to just throw it straight. I want to try to do the spin, which doesn't work out.
See, I don't need to be doing all that. I'm just gonna go right at. So I'm left-handed, right? So I set up just to the left side of the head pin, and I'm gonna try to go through and drive it like diagonally, right? So you're pushing it through the head pin to the right side of the lane. That's all I'm trying to do.
We're going inside bowling here, man. I love it. It was not on my bingo card when we started the show this morning.
Yeah, people are talking about their games that they get good at. Ladder golf, obviously, beer pong has a very specific amount you can drink before you
can jam. You know what can jam is?
Yeah.
I'm a big. I love frisbee on the beach, so can jam.
So I am terrible
awesome.
at can jam.
Are you?
I can't. So every frisbee I throw has like this crazy hook.
Right.
So I have to like very intentionally try to like snap my wrist to get it straight and low. But then I don't get any. You don't want me on your can jam team.
Shout out to everybody watching on TV. Get over to allphly.com and watch the rest of the show. All right, let's end here. And I lost a ton of followers when I was on this tangent for probably like a week, social media followers. But when there was the whole thing of they were gonna write off student loans and you wouldn't have to pay student loans anymore or whatever. My head was exploding because I've paid off my student loans. I was paying off my wife's student loans when she wasn't working because she was with the kids. And they were just going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. No student loans. And then it was like, well, shut up. We don't make money. It's tough out there. Like, it wasn't tough out there when I was making $9 an hour working at 9:50 a.m. and having to pay my student loans and living with my freaking parents when I was 30 years old because I couldn't afford to have an apartment. Like, don't tell me about hardship and having it tough out there. But I thought it was insulting that they were going to do that. Thank God they didn't. But did you see the airline attendant that got fired? So there's this airline attendant who a Alaska airline flight attendant. She was fired because she put on her TikTok, which by the way may be dunzo after Sunday. It may be banned. She's twerking on an empty plane in her uniform. Is that a fireable offense? And she's a beautiful girl too. Like, and it's not like she's not wearing a thong or anything like that. And it's not overly provocative. It is twerking, for crying out loud. But is that a fireable offense to put that on your social media because what I do for bleeps and giggles these days is I read responses from people because I realize that get off my lawn. I should just carry a sign around with me. The generation that's like, this is ridiculous. She should sue. What is she doing? She's twerking on an airplane wearing her uniform and putting it on a very public. She has a lot of followers because she's hot. And she puts this out there? Like, come on. What are we doing? What is wrong with this world? So I don't know if she's going to create an OnlyFans account. And because she had actually, she created not an OnlyFans account, but she created a GoFundMe page. You know what, Tyler? Let's just do a GoFundMe page. Now, I want to take a really, really nice, lavish vacation. And you know what? You probably do too. So let's just get the people out there to pay for it. Because why not? Right? Packers fans, like cats, dogs, Packers fans. This chick, because she got fired. Yes or no, Tyler Zulli? Is Alaska Airlines out of line for firing the flight attendant for twerking or the twerking video?
Again, I think it's one of those things where we talked about you represent your organization, right? We talked about it with the guy in the stands, right? You have some representation of your organization. If you're not on duty, you definitely have representation of your organization when you are on the clock or are in uniform or are on company. You know,
the answer, she deserved to be fired, and she's stupid for doing this.
So I think that
that's the answer.
We have to be fair on both, right? If you're gonna talk about the guy losing his job for being a creep, then I think that if it's outside of representation of the company, right, then they have a right as a private company to do what they feel is best.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she lands on her feet. By the way, I got the Google alert. And when I get a Google alert, it's because I've had activity with my name. Sometimes it's not me, it's another John Marks. Most of the time it is. And a lot of times it's just from being on the show and the YouTube goes up and Tyler puts it out there and they come. But yesterday is because Awful Announcing did a post on Philadelphia media figures that were questioning the Packers fan, his actions around the viral incident. So we'll see. He needs to release the footage. Release the footage. Be fair about things. Click over to Ant. He seemed fired up for today's show. Again, shout out to our friends at Valley Forge Tourism. Again, valleyforge.org can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, and tons of places to go in Monaco. Get started today. Valleyforge.org. We're back tomorrow on a Football Friday. Birds and Rams. Can't wait to talk about it with you tomorrow. See you.
We all silly like the mayor.